On the show, in Wheelspin, we drive the soon-to-be launched Tata Nano GenX. In Wheelspin, we ride the Ducati Panigale. And on the road, we drive the Volkswagen Vento to Champaner. The people's car of India, the Nano, might not have been a great hit with the people of India, but one good thing is that its manufacturers, Tata Motors, have over the years kept on working on the car and made significant changes and improvements to the car, and this is perhaps the only reason as to why the Nano is still around. What I have with me today is the latest iteration of the Nano, the GenX, and it does have some very significant changes to it which will help matters further. So let's have a look as to what these changes are. Tata Motors had launched the Nano in 2009 in the Indian market and over the years had improved the car significantly, as well as introduced new variants like the Twist last year with a power steering. These additions and upgradations have vastly improved the Nano and also provided it with a new lease of life. When you look at this new GenX Nano, it seems like that she is wearing a wide grin, and that's because she's got a new grille which is almost shaped like a smiley, and this has got integrated fog lamps in it, and Tata Motors calls this the Infinity Motive grille. In fact, the entire assembly here is new, and so are the headlamps here, smoked out with black bezels. They look quite nice. In fact, the front end now looks very fresh and of course a bit more stylish than the old one, but I am told even the rear has had some changes. Let's have a look. However, the body shell and the dimensions in terms of length, breadth, width and the wheelbase remain identical. But the biggest change is perhaps the work the company did on the rear part to make it much more practical. And as you walk towards the rear of the car, you notice that this smiling grin motif continues here even with the back end. And in fact, this assembly too is all new, and there is a little bit of a spoiler also here to make it more stylish. But the biggest change is this. Surprised? You must be, because now the tailgate opens up and what you get is 94 liters of luggage space. And that's really nice because this was one of the biggest problems the Nano had, of a tailgate not opening and difficult to put luggage in. But now this GenX Nano has pretty much addressed it and solved it very nicely, and it also has a nice parcel tray to keep your stuff in. So overall, this has become a whole lot more functional than the outgoing one. The changes in this Nano GenX are not limited only to the exteriors, but once you step inside, you are in for a pleasant surprise, as I was. Not only the color schemes and the design has partly changed, but what really impresses me is the quality of materials. They have drastically improved, and this no longer looks like a plasticky car that it was once when you got inside the Nano. It doesn't look cheap, it looks quite upmarket now, and the color schemes have really livened up things. I now quite like the interiors of this Nano. They feel good to touch and they look solid too. The steering wheel now comes out of the bolt and the zest, which is pretty much Tata trademark design these days, and it feels good to hold and also looks like it's very good quality. In fact, overall, you find a vast improvement to it, and even the instrumentation cluster here has had additions to it which give you much more information now. For example, the addition of the distance to empty, the gear shift indicators, all have really added value to it. Overall, I feel with the launch of this Nano GenX, Tata Motors has really brought down the gap between this class of cars and the one above, because now this GenX Nano looks much better made, much more solid, and of course much bigger value for money it offers to its customers. So I think this Nano will certainly do better as far as the sales go. And to add to the practicality, now the GenX comes with a parcel tray in the rear, along with 110 liters of boot space, which gets slightly reduced to 94 liters in case you decide to buy the AMT variant. But the rear seats do fold down, and this increases the boot space to around 500 liters. The biggest addition to this Nano GenX is something I haven't yet told you about because I haven't still driven the car, and that is the addition of this AMT or automatic manual transmission, which means that you now get a virtually automatic transmission to drive with. And that should help matters in our crowded cities, because you do definitely like to drive an automatic car. Well, in terms of performance, what can you really expect of a car which is powered by a 624cc motor and churns out just 38 brake horsepower and 51 Newton meters of torque? Okay, I think I have told you. It's not about performance, it's about fuel efficiency. And in terms of fuel efficiency, the Nano rates really high. It gives you over 21 kilometers to a litre according to ARI figures. And that's not bad for a car which is powered by petrol. The AMT might not be a very clever or a very sophisticated automatic gearbox, and this is just as well because it helps to keep the price down and makes it simple to operate, and in case of a breakdown, fix it. But if you're a driver who likes to keep his foot planted on the throttle and demands more performance, then this AMT provides you with a sports mode and makes this diminutive car go a little faster. But keep in mind that your fuel bill too will rise at the same rate as the revs do. So to keep the fuel cost in control, it also gives you an option of an eco mode, and that's the one you should use if you have economy on your mind. We are not talking performance here. Do not get the idea that you are driving a fast supercar. Instead, you are driving a car which is fuel efficient, which is easy to drive, especially with the AMT here. And I can tell you one thing, at times when I'm stuck in bad city traffic or getting back from work late in the day, I would rather take a car like this Nano with the AMT rather than drive a supercar. And what really makes this new Nano GenX a very practical car is the high SUV-like ground clearance of 180 millimeters, which really comes in handy on our potholed roads. A question that has been raised time and again about the Nano is one that concerns the safety. This is a small car and it virtually came with no safety features. But in this car, in the GenX, what Tata Motors has done is increase the length of the crumple zone up here, and they have also included a side impact beam on the door. Little additions these, but they will certainly add to the safety factors. But as far as I'm concerned, what I would personally like to see is the addition of airbags, at least for the driver's side, because in a small car like this, you definitely need one. The Nano GenX is due for launch this month, and it will be available in 4 variants including the AMT model. And as far as prices go, the Nano has lost its positioning of the world's cheapest car progressively, and with the launch of the GenX, prices will only increase and move it further from this positioning. But then you also get a car which has evolved and has become more of a complete car. The top-end Nano Twist is priced at Rs 3.3 lakhs. So my guess estimate would easily peg the price of this Nano GenX at least 15% higher than this. Now I finally get to sit in the hatch of the Nano. Who would have thought this possible? Honestly, I feel that the addition of this, the opening tailgate, is the biggest change that this Nano has, and it made it a whole lot more practical along with the availability of an AMT transmission, because the AMT is what is extremely user-friendly for our crowded cities. In fact, if you look at this Nano here, you'll find that it has plenty of things going for it. A small size which makes it easy to park, low on gas consumption, and of course a low sticker price. In fact, this car has got a whole lot more than what you think. And now it's a much more of a complete car with all these additions. So do give it a look if you want to buy a really small but very usable and practical car.
It's not every day that you ride a motorcycle as exotic as this. What we've got with us here today is the Ducati Panigale 899. This super sport middleweight bike is something that's truly exciting to ride. Ponder the specs for a moment. It has 148 horsepower and 99 Newton meters of torque. That's no laughing matter. As a family man, I'm going to have to remind myself to take it a little easy when I get on this bike. But before I ride off, I'm going to take a moment just to appreciate the beauty and technology that goes into crafting a motorcycle like this.
Ducati is to motorcycles what Ferrari is to cars. Unmatched performance pedigree with the ultimate in Italian design and engineering ingenuity. Ducati's motorcycle range encompasses a variety of models, but its competition heritage has been built around its superbikes. The 899 Panigale is a super sport motorcycle, rather than an all-out bonker superbike like its bigger 1299 sibling. But as far as reputations go, this is still one mean machine.
Not only is this Ducati an absolute technological masterpiece, but the level of craftsmanship and fit and finish is top-notch. To my eyes, this is an absolutely gorgeous motorcycle. Constructed mostly out of aluminium and stainless steel, this vehicle has a very lightweight, compact construction around it, which allows the rider to transfer his weight from side to side while cornering. Very, very crucial to part of this bike's character.
Specs for a moment. The 899 Panigale's engine produces 148 horsepower and 99 Newton meters of torque, and it weighs just 193 kilograms, fully fueled and ready to go. As a family man, I'm going to have to remind myself to take it easy on this bike, considering the savage acceleration and high speeds it's capable of. I'm told it gets to 100 kilometers an hour in just a little over 3 seconds, and given enough road, will take me to the naughty side of 270.
A motorcycle is the sum of its parts, and in the case of the 899 Panigale, every component on this bike is top-notch. From the Showa suspension to the Brembo brakes, the Pirelli tires. If you wanted to name drop, this motorcycle affords you ample opportunity to do so. What's immediately apparent on this motorcycle is the full-on race riding posture. It puts a lot of weight on your wrists. This gives you a lot of control when you're really pushing on, but it's not exactly very comfortable to commute on. The pillion seat is a joke as well, so let's not even get there. Ducati has done well to respond to criticisms over previous iterations of its superbike range. Basic ergonomics like the handlebars not fouling with the fairing or trapping the rider's thumbs against the tank have been improved on this bike, which is something that I really like.
However, there is a degree of comfort in knowing that Ducati supplies the 899 Panigale with a host of electronic rider aids. Not only do you get 3 riding modes, you also get traction control, engine braking control and 3-level ABS to ensure you stay as safe as possible while accessing the 899's performance. The Ducati riding modes include Race, Sport and Wet modes. Race and Sport both supply full power, but in Race mode the traction control and ABS are dialed back, reducing the safety net for the rider but providing greater involvement for experienced bikers. Wet mode cuts power to just 110 horsepower.
The 899 is an amazing motorcycle to ride. Everything on this motorbike is geared towards giving the rider as much feel and control as possible. The throttle response from the ride-by-wire throttle is excellent, as are the brakes. The chassis control and stability is top-notch. Everything about this motorcycle is spot on if you want to ride hard and you want to ride fast. However, there are a couple of gripes that I have with this bike. For one, I find the throttle grip a little too narrow for someone with my palm size. Second, the engine runs really hot. In our conditions, this can be a little bit of an issue. You also need to bear in mind that at 15.7 lakhs on the road, this is an expensive motorcycle. So far, Ducati has only 2 dealerships in India, one in Delhi and one in Mumbai. So if you want to buy a bike and you live in any other part of the country, you're going to have to wait for some time.
Destination that's still a pretty well-kept secret on the tourist map, especially given that it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I'm headed to Champaner in Gujarat, and this is a place that truly is a hidden jewel because it has some of the most beautiful pre-Mughal Islamic architecture in the country, and yet very few people have even heard about it. I'm really excited to be heading there, and I have the Vento to drive today, which is a car that I've had the pleasure of driving before, so I already know that I'm in for a fun ride. Time to get behind the wheel. What's really great about the Vento is that it's both spacious and luxurious, and it also comes loaded with lots of cool features. I've really enjoyed the stereo system here. I've been listening to the Gujarati radio, but you can even plug in your smartphone and listen to all your favorite tracks. And the climate control has been such a pleasure. I don't know what I would have done without the AC in this heat. Plus, it scores really high on safety with 2 airbags. So, that's really all you could ask for in this car. But now, time to go.
Champaner is located in Gujarat, 465 kilometers from Mumbai, pretty close to Baroda. It was founded in the 8th century by King Vanraj of the Chavda dynasty and later seized by the Gujarat Sultan Mahmud Begra in 1484, who renamed the city Mohammedabad and moved his capital there from Ahmedabad. Champaner is thus rich with monuments that are a confluence of Islamic and Hindu architectural styles from the pre-Mughal era. Even though it takes almost 8 hours to reach, it's a pleasant drive, especially in a nice car like this.
The Vento I'm driving today is powered by a 1.2-litre petrol engine, which belts out 105 PS of peak power and 175 Nm of torque. And this means that it's really fun to drive on the highway because plenty of low-end torque makes it really easy to overtake. Plus, it scores very high on fuel efficiency. It gives 17 kilometers per litre, which is really economical, and all in all makes it a great car for a long highway outing. I've reached Champaner after a long but pleasant drive, and I'm eager to see all the monuments now that I've finally got here. And I thought I'd start with the Jami Masjid because I've heard that it's one of the most impressive monuments in the complex. Let's take a look. The Jami Masjid is Champaner's star attraction, and it was built out of the locally sourced limestone, and truly every corner of this structure is a work of art. The carvings that adorn the pillars and the walls are truly exquisite, as are the jali work and the undersides of the ceiling. The domes inside have the most amazing carving within them, and it's truly just a sight. And the lawn is also so green and pretty. I'm just so impressed with how beautiful and well maintained the place is.
The archaeological complex holds numerous architectural marvels. There are several other beautiful mosques such as the Sheher Ki Masjid and the Leela Gumbaz Masjid, and the fortress walls are also magnificent. It really is amazing to be walking around here. I feel like I've been transported into another era. The only word of advice I'd share is that you should bring water and a hat with you because shops and restaurants are few and far between and the sun can really beat down on you, especially if you're visiting in the summer.
Walking around the Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park is really like a treasure hunt. You'll find hidden gems at the end of every corner. And so I was just walking down this trail, taking in views of the hills, and I chanced upon Kevra Masjid, this beautiful Indo-Islamic structure with a cenotaph in the front and a mosque at the back.
In all these structures, you see both Islamic and Hindu architectural styles. The Islamic column and arch style meets the Hindu temple style pillar and beam method. This syncretism is really fascinating and an inspiration to how beautiful elements from different faith traditions can be integrated creatively.
Remarkable about Champaner and really about India at large is its religious pluralism. Now right here, even though it's a remote place, it's not a big city, and yet you'll see so many different religious traditions represented in such close proximity. Right around the Islamic structures, there are also several Hindu and Jain temples. In fact, there's a Shvetambar and a Digambar temple right within the archaeological complex. And then on top of Pavagadh Hill, there's supposedly the most famous Kalika Mata Temple in the region. It's called the Kalika Mata Mandir, and you get to take a cable car to get up there. So I'm excited to see what it's like right on top of Pavagadh Hill.
The ride to the temple in the cable car is very enjoyable. You can take in splendid aerial views of the Pavagadh Hills as you glide up the ropeway. It's a nice little glimpse into nature and the landscape, and it certainly expedites the climb up the hill, although some pilgrims still walk all the way up. The Kalika Mata Temple is still quite a few steps up even after the cable car does most of the climb for you. It really is at the very top of the hill. Unfortunately, photography is prohibited inside. I was mesmerized by the view of the red flags outside the temple unfurling in the wind above the valley below. As I took in the view, I couldn't help but think about what a special trip this has been.
It's really worth coming here to Champaner, even though it's off the beaten path. In fact, all the more so because of this. It's such a privilege to be able to take in all this beauty with the luxury of having little or no crowds at all. And driving this Vento around here has been such a pleasure because the car is so smooth and comfortable. It's also really easy to drive and compact, making it easy to maneuver. So I've had a great time zipping around the town. And it's already time for me to head back to Mumbai, and I'm looking forward to getting back behind the wheel. See you next week.